Hold tight. Okay, let's get ready. And we're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday to everyone. Welcome to another exciting time on Urban Birds and Bees. My name is Kerry Neal. I'm your host and moderator for this amazing platform, and we have quite a show for you today. So now, typically, we're talking about relationships, and there even may be some levity to it, but we're talking about something that's pretty serious today. So the title of our podcast today is Big Butts, Big Lips, and Beauty. Have we gone too far? And we have an incredible set of guests that are here to help us navigate this discussion. And so we'll get to those individuals in just a minute. But this discussion really is a byproduct of the unfortunate and untimely and tragic loss of Wild 'N Out star Jackie O, who unfortunately passed away briefly after what appears to be a surgical procedure, which we understand was supposed to be a mommy makeover, a procedure that's somewhat common after a woman has had children and maybe she wants to get a few things in the body adjusted. And so we don't really want to talk a lot about, why she passed or some of the controversy surrounding that. Matter of fact, I understand they had a service yesterday and it was quite moving. Her significant other, another famous person on Wild 'N Out on MTV, DC Young Fly, gave an incredible eulogy for her life and celebrate. So we really want to honor that. But we do want to talk about this discussion in terms of this pressure and need to feel to get any form of body enhancement, surgically speaking, and what lengths that people will go through to make that happen. So we really want to describe it, particularly in some cases where it's very extreme. Are we dealing with body dysmorphia? We have our guests here to talk a little bit about that. How deep is the pressure, and to what degree are men responsible for this sense of pressure that women feel that they need to change the body? So anyway, before we get started, we're going to tell you a little bit about Urban Birds and Bees, and we are a podcast that provides an emotionally safe space to have honest, healthy, and provocative discussions about dating, relationships, sex, love, Black and pop culture, self-worth, and personal growth to help you become the best partner that you can be in a committed relationship and to help you to identify who will be best for you in a committed relationship. So today we're going to really focus on the self-worth part, particularly centered around this whole thing of what some folks may feel to be a little bit more extreme. Okay, so, but before we do that, we don't want to make the assumption that all of you are familiar with this, although it's been over all of the news. What happened recently with Jackie O. So we're going to cue up our first video. And after that, we're going to introduce our guests and go into another video and continue with our discussion. So we will continue discussion on the other side.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Neek, and you're tuned in to Neek at Night. And tonight I wanted to talk about this situation that happened with Miss Jackie O. I believe that's how she pronounced it. Such a beautiful girl. She used to be on Wild 'N Out doing her entrepreneurial stuff, and even was the lifetime or longtime partner to comedian DC Young Fly. And it was announced today that she passed away due to complications from getting a mommy makeover. Now, the exact reporting of exactly, what happened is still up in the air, but it is being speculated that it was between heart failure and some blood clots or something like that was supposed to have been going on.
Yeah, so there's a report. So we want to say that all of the videos and information that you received today that we're going to show you is not the original content of Urban Birds and Bees, and is only being shared for informational and educational purposes. We want to make that very clear. So anyway, so that's sort of the background and the backdrop that's sparking this discussion. So we now turn our attention to our guests, special guest. First of all, we're going to go to Dr. Carla Michelle, who is the CEO of Dr. Carla Inc. Coaching and Consulting, and she's a business and life coach as well, and a licensed therapist and mental health expert. Dr. Carla Michelle, how you doing? Say what's up to the people.
Hey, hello, everybody. Hello, I'm looking forward to this talk this evening. Thanks for having me.
Mhm. And then second of all, we want to invite to the stage Miss Anivia Cruz, who you may have seen her on BET's American Gangster, Trap Queens, and Killer Curves. She also featured on TV1's Life Therapy, and you all have seen her on the own networks. Elias Say, Fix My Life. So she's been quite noble in space and been quite the juggernaut of a champion to talk about Black market, plastic surgery or body enhancement procedures. So, Anivia, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. This is pretty shocking about the whole thing with Jackie O, but I'm sure it's a story that you've heard a number of occasions since being in the space. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go to our second video. Now, here's what's interesting. So we know the story now. We kind of have some context regarding what happened with Miss Jackie O. Okay, but what you may not know is some of the things that she felt, or at least that she shared. We don't certainly want to characterize having a full understanding of her personality and her motivation doing anything, but she was on a radio show once, and this particular clip was shared. And I think we're going to go to Neek at Night, and she's going to share her thoughts. So we're going to go set up this clip. We're going to share it to you, and we'll discuss on the other side.
Now, she did an interview with DJ Small Eyes around the time that she had her first baby. And she was talking about how she was trying to get this post-op, not post-op, but post-pregnancy body back. And she was talking about how, she had her baby, she was trying to get her snap back, but she was trying to do it the natural way. But, she has to compete with the other girls who are getting the surgeries and things like that. I'm gonna pull up that clip and then talk to you guys a little bit more about what's going on social media. I'm gonna just play the audio and then we'll move right along.
Definitely got to my pre-pregnancy weight, so shout out to my trainer for helping me achieve that goal. So now I just want to tone up. I want to be like super tight, and I want abs, and it just sucks because I see girls don't really have to go work out. They just go get surgery and stuff, and I'm over here like, fuck, I'm trying to do it naturally. Shit.
I see.
Competition with those girls.
So again, that was her a few years ago, having that conversation on there. So Nick, I want to go directly to you regarding that. So give us your reaction to that, but if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your journey. And then Dr. Palmer, I want to go to you and get your feedback, and then we're going to but Navia, please share with us your thoughts.
I really would rather not speak on her situation. I send the family my condolences, and my heart definitely goes out to them and her children. I'd rather not speak on anything with that because I don't know enough about it to speak on it.
Absolutely, totally respect that. Do you mind sharing a little bit regarding your journey in terms of maybe some of your motivation when you first considered some of the enhancement options, so to speak?
Well, there's a difference, which is one of the reasons I don't speak on her journey, because it's totally different.
Sure.
She was actually going and doing it the professional route. I'm not sure if the surgeon was board certified. It's one of the things I advocate about, to make sure your surgeons are board certified. But I wasn't as smart, and we didn't have those options of BBLs when I did it. I did it the black market road. I decided to get black market injections because there were no BBLs or fat grafting back when I did it. This was back in 2006. 2006. When I first went to do it, was around 2004, but I wasn't successful. And when I finally did it, it was in 2006 when cis women were just starting to get it. It was a real big fad with trans women. And I have a lot of transgender friends. And I wanted to get it. We didn't know enough people that had it long enough.
Oh, so
to
that
have
started
it.
the trans community. I didn't know that. So that became really popular in the trans community. But that, I guess,
Oh, yeah,
oh, interesting.
absolutely. Absolutely. But cis women were not getting it as much. Then it wasn't a real known thing in our community. And when I say cis women, that's the proper way of saying a woman that was genetically born a female. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a cis woman, you're a cis man. So in our community, it wasn't so many of them, but I knew tons of trans women that had it. And it was just hard. It was so underground to find someone that was doing it. And when I worked in the strip club at the time, and the women had just started getting it. So no one had it long enough to have any complications for me to see the long-term effects of it.
Mm, interesting. Oh, wow. And so even though it kind of had an impetus in the trans community, was there any prevailing thoughts regarding some of the side effects or things of that nature, or was it just not been talked about? People were sort of fixated just on the results. What was your experience in terms of understanding some of the risk with it, I should say?
I was so young and rambunctious. I never even considered the after effects because all of the trans women that I knew had it for years with no side effects. Basically, they would just tell you once you get it, make sure you massage, make sure you wait 24 hours, take a hot silk bath, roll it with a rolling pin. I followed all the procedures that I was told to do, but we didn't know anyone that had any adverse reactions from it. At least I didn't. Never heard of anyone.
Yeah, yeah, Dr. Carl Michelle. So you're kind of hearing this journey and the whole bit. And so I thought it was interesting that, well, probably because one thing, maybe the side effects weren't really known, maybe they're suppressed and things like that, but certainly this need of sort of enhancing our bodies and things of that nature. What is your experience working with some of your clients who may be kind of tossed with some of their bodies look and things of that nature and what they need to do? And how have you dealt with some of your clients in that regard?
I'm supportive in their decision in that sense. I'm not one to say yay or nay. That's not my position. The one thing I would be more involved in is assessing their mental state. And usually we're making sure the self-esteem, the confidence hey, what woman hasn't thought about it? So you have to be sensitive to understand recovery time. You think about post and the confidence and the self-esteem and the depression that can hit if it doesn't turn out right. So we can talk about some things like that. But I know that it is something that needs to be communicated. You need to talk it out. If there is some issues that it's not for the reason and the intentions that are healthy, something that you should definitely work through before you go through the situation.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. So, if you don't mind, what we're gonna do now, so we can get a little bit more. And that was a fabulous interview that you had on TV1's Life Therapy, where you really were very authentic and transparent, which you've gone through. That really fascinated the guests. So, right now, I'd like to cue up that video so we can show our audience, and we'll revisit this discussion and really expand upon a little bit more. So. We're going to keep this next video and we will continue this conversation on the other side.
I had butt injections done and I almost died because of it. I spent a month in the hospital, 2 months in a nursing home. I had to learn to walk again. I was on my deathbed.
But what did you have injected, the silicone?
Well, I was told it was silicone and then I was told it was biogel. In the end, we really don't know. We're told this, but we truly don't know what it is that we have. I had 9 removal surgeries so far. The 9th one, they said that sparks were flying off my body and the entire surgery room smelled like gasoline. They had to leave me in there alone under anesthesia because the smell was so strong in the room. They had no idea what that was. I was one of the first people to have this situation go wrong because back when Kim and I were getting it done, we didn't know the long-term effects of this. So now here it is. I started getting it done in 2006. Now we're 10 years later in 2016. And it gave me kidney disease. It gave me, because of the pain was so severe, I became an addict of pain medication. I had to rehabilitate myself from that. I had to walk again. It destroyed my life. I have end-stage kidney disease and, excuse me, stage 4 kidney disease and end-stage renal failure.
So sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Why you say don't be sorry?
Because if it wasn't me, it had to happen to someone.
I gotta get comfortable because you, listen, go ahead.
If it didn't happen to me, it had to happen to someone. And because of my story, so many women have decided to not get this done. I mean, the stories that women have written me and how God has reached out to them. There was a girl that had an appointment the next day, and there was a show that I did that aired. She happened to be flicking through the channels, and she saw it and watched it and didn't go get her butt done the next day
After hearing your story.
after seeing the show.
Ooh, wow. Man, that leaves me numb on steroids. So many ways. One of the things that maybe when we first began to have our conversation behind the scenes, look, I'm just gonna keep it honest with you. I'm gonna say, you're a freaking beautiful woman. Why in the world would you need to tweak or change anything? Oh my God. Also, we began to have that conversation. But yeah, then there's this whole idea of what was in you and some of the things that you went through in that regard as well. Talk a little bit more about that journey. Again, talk to us a little bit more about why you felt you needed to do something. Why did you need to do something more? Again, I'm looking at, I get it. Beauty is subjective. You are a fine woman. I don't get it. Please tell us, please tell me, why did you feel as though you needed to get something done?
Well, the main reason I did it was to further my career. It had nothing, and I'm going to say this to everyone because everyone has that myth that we do it to attract men or to attract whatever gender we're attracted to. That is not why I did it. I did it for a couple of reasons. One, it started as a child. Like, people teased me all my life. Thank you for the compliment very much. But I suffer with body dysmorphia because ever since a child, people would tease me. And I'm not even going to say some of the things they would call me because I don't want to offend anyone, but they would tell me what I was built like. When SpongeBob came out, they called me SpongeBob. My butt was flat. And I was square. I didn't have much hips. I just was not shapely. And people always say, oh, pretty Anivia don't got no body. Pretty Anivia with the flat butt. So at the time, that's when like Drew Hill came out with Thong and like the butt started really taking on in Black Men Magazine and all those urban magazines were the it thing. It wasn't a social media. We only had like Black Planet at the time or like MySpace.
Hung out, Baby Got Back and really celebrating it behind. Yeah. Okay. Back then. Yeah.
But that was even before the whole butt.
That was even before. Yeah. That was
got
before.
big.
That's right.
And I was working in the strip club and I was just tall and lengthy. I'm 5'10", and I had no body. And I was working as a plus model since a child, since my parents had me modeling since I was a teenager. And I gained some weight, so I was no longer what's considered a straight model. And my mentor said to me, I was like, I gotta, I need to work. I'm working in a strip club, I'm bartending. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I need to get back with my career. I was pursuing acting. I was always too tall. I always got modeling gigs. When I went for acting jobs, I would always play a model. And she said, why don't you just put on a few pounds? This plus model, this is taking on really big now. And I was like, plus model? And she explained that what people don't understand is a plus model starts at a size 8 to 10. And around this time, it's even
now too. Plus, mine starts at 8 to 10. Shoes, that's like hella fine to me.
Yeah, and you get the most work
would agree with that too, right? That's interesting. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You get more work at between like a size 12 and 16, but plus modeling started at the time. Everything's so different now with social media.
Sure.
So she just told me try to put on a couple pounds and try to break into the plus model world. There's less competition. You're racially ambiguous. It may work for you. So I was like, I don't gain weight that easily. And I was like, if I just put on some, she's like, yeah, you just need a little more butt and hips, just get a little thicker. it wasn't that easy. I was eating oxtails, I was baking cakes, I was doing everything, but I was not putting the weight on, especially not in the right areas, going straight to my gut. So I said, why don't I just go and find this lady to get these butt shots done? That'll put some weight on me. And then I was still looking at like the Black Men's magazine and, you know, those magazine, Hype Hair and all that stuff. I did Hype Hair, but I didn't get any of the sexy pics like the other girls did. I just got the face shots. So finally, my best friend called me one day and she's like, girl, she's like, where are you at? And I was at work at the time. I was doing an internship at Essence. And she said, I found the butt lady. It was a trans woman that was known for doing it. She found her because the other one stood me up when I went a couple of years before. And she's like, I found her. I got her number. I told her about you. And she said, you can come. And that was it from there. I went and I got addicted. It was in Jersey City. I laid on a couch with a dirty little mutt dog, got drunk out of my mind, took pain pills and Xanax. I didn't even know what I was taking at the time. And I got it done. I fell asleep and threw up the whole time on one half. But when I stood up, I saw results and I just was crying and kissing all over that woman.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I mean, but one thing too, I'm gonna go stop the Michelle too, but one of the things that you said too was for this thing where you admit that, you know, you got the injections, black market, and then I think safe to say, just for the record, she does not have any issues with plastic surgery, just the black market. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with plastic surgery. Do it makes you happy. Just make sure you do your research. Check your plastic surgeon's death records. Make sure they're board certified.
Yeah.
No, I'm not against it at all. To each his own. What you eat don't make me poop.
Yeah. And so that's gotcha. But you also admitted that while maybe there was sort of this baseline of injection shots that you kind of went overboard with it. Is that correct?
Ridiculous. But I could just imagine something you always wanted all your life. Like always wanted, that you thought all your life there was no possibility of ever having it. And then it's at the palm of your hand at an affordable price. And it's just a train ride away from you. And there's no one to tell you no. I probably would have got more if she would have let me come more. I didn't know any better.
You know, look, if they were giving out a quick shot I could take and get a 6-pack, I probably would go too. You know, this with some risk, you know. Dr. Carmichael, I want to go to you for a second, right? Okay, so Anivia, she mentioned body dysmorphia. Very interesting concept. Could you explain for our audience what body dysmorphia is and how it impacts men and women, for that matter, and what your understanding of it and how to manage it, please?
Well, it's the way you view your body, and someone can say, oh, Anivia looks perfect, but yet she was not getting for what she wanted and what she wanted in the role that she wanted to play in her career. But it's some little part of us, you know, whether it's a butt or whether it's the stomach that's too big, whether it's breasts that are too small. Sometimes it's breasts that are too big. It's just something that you see, a nose, your ears, I mean, it can be anything. So your chin, you know, so it just happens to that body part or body parts that just don't fit what your vision is of that ideal body. And you can have plastic surgery, you can have things injected, but usually what happens with someone with body dysmorphia, they may be satisfied and have that self-esteem build up and that confidence and they're done. And then there's others that will just keep going because it's still, they're never happy. That's why you see someone's total face change. We won't mention names, but total face changing, total body changing is because that's just what they're looking at, what they see, what we see. I'll put myself in there. What we see in magazines, what we see on TV, what we think guys like or whoever our preference is, that's what we're shooting for. Because at times, though, it really starts from within. And once within matches with what's without, does it ever? I don't know, but it's what within that really counts and how built up that is to let us know if, I mean, I got teased. My butt was always too big. I didn't understand. I mean, I see them now. I'm like, no, my butt is not big. but I used to want my butt flat.
Interesting.
Right? So it's just what we see. Words are powerful. What we hear growing up, what we say to ourselves. So body dysmorphia, either it could be something that you just see in your life or around you or in the world. And then also something that you just never really happy with and you need it changed. And no matter how much you change, there's something else that needs to be done so you can be that perfect person.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. We have our amazing producer behind the scenes, MJ, and while she does the production, she also does an extraordinary job chiming in because I know she has beautiful daughters, so she's a beautiful woman herself and things like that. So I'm curious, MJ, what's your reaction to what you kind of hear what's going on?
I definitely identify with both Anivia and Dr. Carla about the story that we tell ourselves and the things we hear from people when we're young. For me, I was told, that my lip was too big when I was a kid, and so I was, subconscious about that. I just didn't have the resources that Anivia did to go do something to myself. Maybe that was my saving grace, that I didn't have the money to go, get those enhancements. I have, as I've gotten older, taken advantage of some things. And I can say that I probably, if I had it to do over, I wouldn't have done it. I don't think that there's any benefit in making alterations to your body, because whatever you do to one part, it's going to find its way over someplace else. And you come to a place where you look in the mirror, and you don't recognize who you've been all your life. In addition to, obviously the dangers that Anivia faced. That's my thought.
Yeah, that's interesting. One thing I think about again, and I love how Dr. Coleman laid that out. Thank you, MJ. That's a great insight right there that you shared as well. Is again, I'm just going to go back to when I first met Anivia. I might say, what the hell? It's like, really? But it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what we see. It's what they see and what's in them. Compounded by, she talked about her career aspirations and things of that nature. So some of us may deal with the pressures of, societal beauty, what social media says, how we feel about ourselves, what we grew up with. But then you add the additional layers of career and things of that nature and so forth. We're going to cue up another video. We're going to talk about K. Michelle. You guys know her, a superstar R&B artist. And she had a journey with this too, and she was pretty desperate as well. So why don't we cue up that video and look at what she had to say, and we'll talk about that on the other side.
For me, I've been very open. I've always been curvy. It wasn't enough. You know what I'm saying? I thought I want to take it to the extreme, and I was like, I'm having trouble with men right now. Maybe if I had a huge butt, I get even bigger love. Yeah. So I thought that's what I did. I did teeth, I did butt, I did hips, and now I'm to the point where I've been getting tired of it for years, trying to kind of lipo. Now it's to the point where it's affecting my health. And we're thinking that the aching and everything that made me go and, get checked for lupus is due because my butt is so big and my legs are not holding it.
Wow. This is
So
real.
people don't talk about that though. They just want you to be like, that's not it. Like, I've literally gone to doctors who don't want to touch it. I've gone to I found a doctor now, Dr. Gavami, that's going to do it for me. And, he said, I see this all the time. But imagine if you don't have the money to get it out.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got these you got these butt shots, and you're in pain, and you don't have any money to get it out of you. They don't tell you about that. They don't say anything about that. So for me, my doctor was like, you can't be pregnant in the butt and in the stomach. Right. So your little legs is not gonna keep it. So I'm literally January the 12th, I go, and they're removing the foreign objects out of my body.
Ooh, that's the other side of it. Because clearly plastic surgery and all these body enhancement procedures aren't an exact science. They need to be modifications. So to her point, she talked about her motivation in terms of body altering procedures, but then there's also the thing when there has to be adjustments or she has a change of heart. It's how it can be just as expensive to address the corrective efforts than the actual implementation. MJ, it would be great to show some of those images of Anivia's journey. while she was going through her procedure. So while you kind of went through your thing and had your complications and things like that, talk a little bit about that process for you. I think you went through what 9 or 10 particular surgeries to correct what had happened because of the silicone shots. Is that correct?
Yes, I had 9 surgeries.
Surgeries, yeah. This is an image I believe of you after your injections. Is that correct?
Yes, after the injections, I had 9 removal surgeries.
9 removal surgeries. Why did it take so many surgeries to correct what was going on? And I particularly want to get back to the whole idea of this gasoline smell and whatever else or whatever was going on. You mean that was in your body?
Mm-hmm. They don't know.
Oh
To
my
this day, they don't know that we don't know what's in us. I was told it was, when I first got it, it was silicone. And then as I was getting it more, I was told biogel was being used. I had put it in the palm of my hand. I smelled it. I even put it on my tongue. I said it was going in my body. Like no taste, no smell. The texture was like thicker than baby oil, but thinner than baby oil gel. Somewhere a little about cooking oil, but it was clear. Not a lot of bubbles in it.
And then there was an image that was shared, and I want to just make our and this was looked like that you had lost some significant weight here, but this is through the surgical process as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's when I was in the nursing home. I was a month in the hospital and 2 months in a nursing home. And that's when I come to my senses. I was in a nursing home for a few weeks before I was out of my mind. I didn't know where I was. I didn't remember anything. And finally I came to my senses and I saw myself, and that's what I looked like.
Mm. You mentioned also that something happened with the whole process, I guess, of the impact of the silicone shots, that there was a hole that developed in your behind as well. Is that correct?
Both sides. It was started out like rug burn, like turf burn, like when people play football.
Yeah.
I did an exfoliant on, and I used to do the exfoliant in the shower, but this because my butt would be so dry, so itchy, and so hot. It was just painful all the time. I didn't sleep a night through for 8 years. I catnapped for 8 years. And I decided to try to do the exfoliant before I stepped in the shower. And the next day it was like turf burn, like football players have. And then slowly but surely it became necrotic, and it started to open up like little holes. And I was going to the hospital here, in Atlanta, and they didn't know what it was. No one knew at the time. We didn't have doctors doing removal surgeries, all of that. I was one of the first people to get it removed, so no one really knew what to do. So they were giving me this Dakin solution, which is like diluted bleach that you use on necrotic tissue. And it was eating away at the dead tissue. And they thought we were going to get down to the pink tissue. And I was trying to tell them there is no more good live tissue. This is all dead. And it literally smelled so bad. I smelled, you know how like if a mouse dies somewhere and you can smell it, but you can't find it? That's what the wound smelled like. It didn't bleed. It was wide open and it smelled horrible. They would have to crush up the pills that they give women when they have a bacterial infection and pour the crushed pills inside of the hole just to keep the odor down so I could fly to New York to go get the surgery done. It smelled so bad.
Yeah, yeah. We actually have more images, and we won't show more images because I mean, although you've given us the permission to do so, I mean, we made an independent decision, but then we just thought it was just a little bit too graphic. I think you describing it is graphic enough, so I don't think it needs to be enhanced by imagery as well. Wow. Oh my God. I need to kind of stop for a
Carrie,
second.
can I ask Anivia a question? I'm curious, Anivia, if you want, like, how did you mentally make it through such hard process?
Honestly, there was a time like when it was about when my doctor actually gave me a consultation via email. I sent him pictures. He had done the surgery on someone that I knew, and he saw the Iyanla show I did, and I sent him the pictures, and his consult was via email. And he said, I'm giving you 2 weeks to close out your life in Atlanta. You're going to have to come to New York for a year to have these surgeries done, and 2 weeks to figure out what you got to do there, but you're going to die if you don't. So about that weekend before I left for surgery, I was like packing up my house. I just couldn't take it anymore. And I had an open invitation at Emory Hospital that if it just got too bad, the wounds got too bad, or just I could not thrive, that I could come and check myself into the hospital. And about 3 days before I was leaving to go to New York, I just could not I just broke down completely. I don't know how I stayed mentally sane through it, but I just checked myself in the hospital and I was like, I just can't do it. I need to stay here until I leave. And I stayed in the hospital until I left.
Good for you, though. Good for you for self-advocating, because a lot of people would have just let it overcome them. That speaks to me, the inner strength that you carry to even hear your story and what you're dealing with your health. And you're still here sharing and giving people answers and being so transparent and vulnerable. That speaks to your mental health being very strong. And I see you as someone, because we hear a lot that people just take it on themselves and they don't talk and they don't communicate. And we've heard stories of that. So good for you for speaking up. Good for you for reaching out, and good for you to be an advocate.
Yeah, again, I've been thoroughly impressed with you and your story, and again, the transparent and honesty and authentic nature in which you shared the story. What we're going to do right now, I also want to mention that this chat is blowing up. It is on fire. One of the persons watching, she said, well, Carrie, girls not really celebrate natural beauty. So we're going to talk about that in just a few months. But what we're going to do, we're going to show you one. Now, if this wasn't enough information to give you a sense of the gravity of this situation, we'll talk about, how men and women may view their bodies and things of that nature. But particularly in this case, we're just talking about, we're sort of focused on women right now. I mean, this has applications to men as well, so we don't want to make it one side. But right now, we're talking about men right now because of our guest. We're going to show you one last video. And it was taken from TMZ, and they had a plastic surgeon on, and this was precipitated by obviously what happened with Jackie O. Very interesting information by a board-certified plastic surgeon. So we're going to clip that one, and then we're going to bring our men on and get their feedback, because we want to, ask a challenging question. Are men complicit in this whole thing, how women feel about their bodies and feel the need to do something to modify it? So we'll put that clip right now, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
I'm not a doctor, but you're talking about lifting a butt. Why is that so dangerous?
And also, the thing I was thinking is that the Brazilian butt lift has been around for a long time.
Explain the danger here.
It's extraordinarily dangerous. It turns out it's the most dangerous, not only plastic surgery procedure, it's the most dangerous operation there is with the highest fatality rate. And I'll tell you why. You take fat from one part of your body, typically the abdomen, you process it, and you inject in the buttock. Sounds easy, right? The problem is there's these very small little veins in the buttock that lead directly to the vena cava, which is the major blood vessel that brings blood back from your body to your heart, to your lungs. If you get fat in those little vessels and it gets in the main vena cava and goes to your lungs, it's over. It's the most fatal operation there is. And I would advise there are other ways to get a full buttock besides that.
If it's the deadliest operation, period, are they giving warnings when they do this to people? I mean, are people adequately being informed about the dangers here?
Not in my opinion. Now, last year, before the pandemic, an international task force was gathered to warn all of Europe that this is such a dangerous operation. And in this country, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons started to talk about it. They sent out a few articles about it, and then everybody pretty much ignored it. But listen, it's super dangerous. You can do it in the gym. There are safe fillers to do it. I recommend people back away from Brazilian butt lifts.
Well, I guess he couldn't have been more honest and direct about that. And one thing we want to be careful about too, we understand that even board certified physicians, there could be varying opinions on certain things and so forth. He is advising, don't even do the Brazilian butt lift, even with a board certified plastic surgeon and things of that nature. Anivia, I'm sure you've heard of some of these risks now. What are some of your thoughts about the risks involved? Even though I know that you're not necessarily against plastic surgery, but that was obviously pretty riveting what the physician said there. What are your thoughts about that?
About plastic surgery.
About his reaction in terms of the risks that are involved and things of that nature. I mean,
Oh,
consider
remember we had a conversation. I explained to you that the BBL is the most dangerous and has the highest fatality rates. As far as cosmetic surgery, it's to each his own, but I do feel that it is important to have a psychological evaluation before you do it to find out if there's something deeper going on. With my situation, having body dysmorphia, if my parents were aware of that and they had a little more education on that, maybe they would have helped me with my issue and I wouldn't have taken such a dangerous route. It's a disorder that honestly, it's something that you have to learn to cope with. You never truly heal from it. You never truly get over it. It's a psychological disorder and it takes a lot. And you're going to constantly, you're just obsessed. You're never satisfied. You don't see what other people see. And it really controls your life. I've learned how to cope with it a lot better now since I'm so scarred and I have keloids and I'm like, now look at me, before I was bad, but now I'm all scarred up. So now I have a little butt and it's scarred up. At least before, my legs are all scarred. I have tattoos all over them. So if I had known then what I was dealing with, maybe I would have made better choices. Probably not. I was so rambunctious and just a hard head.
Like when you were headed to get the silicone shots in your rear end, did your parents know you were going to do it, or you just like, look, I'm about to do this, and you kind of just fell off the radar? Did anyone know that you were going to do it in terms of like your immediate family members?
Yes, they were. My family was really supportive because they didn't really. My mother, no, she did not want me to get it. She was completely against it. But my dad was supportive. He's like, if it makes you happy, if that's what you want to do, just be careful. They didn't really understand. They didn't know I was going to someone's house to lay on a couch and get it done. I didn't tell them all that. And then when I first started getting it done, it looked good and everyone liked it, but they kept saying, okay, no more, don't do anymore. But you can't tell a person that's sick in the head to stop doing something. It was an addiction. And I have an addictive personality. So once I start with something, that's when I was taking the pain pills for the pain, I got addicted to pain medication because of the butt. So maybe if I knew that I had these issues, psychologically, it would have made a difference too. But I think that it's really important that people get a psychological evaluation before they go and do anything to understand why they're doing it and how are they going to cope if things don't go well. Like Dr. Carla said, if things don't go well, and that should be something that should always be covered. If things don't go well for you, how are you going to cope? How are you going to thrive? How are you going to live? Because if a lot of people would have went through what I went through, maybe if they were, I don't have children, if they were mothers, they had to take care of their families, they had to provide, they probably wouldn't have made it. They would have probably fallen apart. How strong are you if you were to die getting the surgery? Who are you leaving behind? How many people are going to be affected? And how would you be affected if anything goes wrong after the surgery? You're doing it in vain because it's vanity. So what you're going to do if you look worse than you did before? And those things need to be covered and they're not.
Oh, well said. Dr. Carmichael, reaction to that as well.
I mean, she couldn't have said it better. I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. I was like, she couldn't have said it better because it's reality. We get caught up in the fantasy of it all and the fantasy look and how we're going to feel. And we tell us these stories about this is going to change my life. And it does change your life. You just don't know how, in which way, and to what degree it can change your life for better or for worse. So we do take those chances, but we're human, right? And we want to roll the dice and we do it. But we also, like Anivia was pointing out, that after effect, you got to make sure. I mean, you think about Kanye's mom, you think, it affects so many, Jackie O, it affects so many who are left behind and I'm just repeating, like for vanity. And it's what we read, it's what we see, it's how we feel. It's so much involved. And it really takes a strong, since we're talking about women, because men are insecure to excuse me, and they get, they get stuff done to their bodies. But yet for a woman, we really have to understand, if I can't be accepted for who I am, if I can't accept myself for who I am, then anything that I do still doesn't make it better, because it starts first with acceptance of, if I didn't have this, or if I do have this, I'm still beautiful, I'm still smart, I'm still intelligent, I still have a lot to offer this world. There's so much that I have that we forget about brains, we're so focused on body, we forget about brains and intellect and being empathetic and sympathetic and all the things that we can offer someone that could bring that man that we think we need, or bring that job. And if our bodies don't line up to the career that we want, then maybe we need to rethink that career. Maybe we need to rethink where we're putting our energy. And is it all great to be that famous person, or whatever we're imagining for it to help us be? And I'm not talking about Anivia, I'm talking about, we all do it, different things that we think is going to hype us up, so that we get that person, get that place, get that position. And we have to really check in with ourselves. And a lot of us don't. We don't check in. We don't check.
No, that's oh man, you could not say that better. We're gonna turn our attention now to our 3 male guests. We're gonna bring on Darnell, Raz, and Daniel, and we're gonna invite them into the conversation. And we want to look, you guys have been sitting here the entire time. This has been quite the provocative discussion. Daniel, I'm gonna start with you, all the way from Georgia. You're on mute, Daniel. So Daniel, get to unmute. And then Raz as well. So we got 3 gentlemen.
Okay, how's that?
Perfect. And they were all different age ranges and generations here. And so the first question I want to ask you guys.
Saying I'm the old man.
No, dude. Well, little giveaway beer.
Papa Smurf.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but we're gonna start with you, Daniel. So this has been quite the enlightening, provocative discussion, to say the least. A lot of things was good. Thank Anivia for her transparency, and then Dr. Carlton Show weighing in. But we're going to turn attention to you men. So talk to us. The question on the table is, how do you feel about women getting plastic surgery and enhancements? Is that your preference and things of that nature? We want to ask that question to you guys 3 first. Daniel, starting with you.
I'm okay with it to some extent. In the Jackie O instance, that mommy surgery is so common. I don't even consider that actually cosmetic surgery anymore. So many women I've known have had the tummy tuck and maybe, the breast lift, and it just seems so safe. So I can understand how so many women can get caught into thinking that it's okay, that the risk is minimal, when any surgery, even a tooth extraction, it can be very serious.
Yeah. You work in the medical field too. And Tim, we want to also make it clear too, that we are not saying that she died as a result of her procedure. It's alleged. They're adjacent to one another, but that is not what we're saying. But certainly the idea and thoughts of her needing felt like that she needed to get the procedure is part of the focal point of our discussion. Raz, what about you, bro? What are your thoughts on this?
Man, well, first of all, what a story,
Yeah, it is.
And sympathies out to the family of Jackie O. I mean, as men, we do put a lot of pressure on women to look a certain way because the culture, dictates that. But, we need to really, like Dr. Carla was saying, we really need to make peace with who we are as individuals. But me personally, I think it's okay in women to do certain modifications if it's safe, but to risk your life, to risk your mobility, to risk your health and all that stuff, it's just for somebody to say that I like you and just to get compliments. I don't think it's worth it.
But more directly, Raz, I want to know, how do you personally feel about women who may get larger breasts behind? Do you like that kind of thing and so forth? We understand some of the risks involved. We get that. But how do you feel personally about women who may do some personal enhancement? Is it like like say, man, I want a natural woman? Or you like say, oh no, I kind of like a BBL, whatever. What are your thoughts about it?
So okay, yeah. So let me answer that question. So a few of my friends that I dance with actually have had their bodies augmented in that way. To me, it looks a little cartoonish, so to speak. However, I actually know another friend of mine. She actually did it the natural way, the gym, did squats. It took her like 2 years, but the results were very long lasting. She looked really good. So I've seen it on both sides. I think it's down to the individual. I personally, it is what it is. I don't really have an opinion either way, but for me, I just feel that the safety aspect is like, from what we're hearing today, it's like this. It's like, wow, you know.
Look, you know, um, we live in this microwave society. Folks ain't trying to do anything. If they can do this, snap of the finger, they will. Darnell, bro, what are your thoughts? Okay, we're strictly talking about your affinity for when you see women with, whatever size BBL, enhanced breasts, whatever the case may be. What's your reaction to it? Or do you just you hate it all, or you just prefer natural women, or you like, hey, it's all good. What's your reaction to that?
Well, just like any other man, I appreciate a nice full ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always going to be sexy, but at the same time, in my experience, I just prefer it to be natural. It might be more of a psychological thing for a man, but like when I like it and it looks good and it feels good, and I also thought that it's natural, is top tier for me. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the surgeries, I'm a visual artist, so I notice details and I look at these little things. And one of the things that I notice is like all of our features are very specific to us. You know what I mean? They're very unique to us. And then these surgeries get involved and all of that uniqueness kind of just goes away. And these features start to make everybody look the same. So the unique and natural beauty is taken away. And that's something that I always appreciate in women, is the uniqueness in the shape of their lips, the way the hips relate to the ass. All of these things are very particular to every single woman. But once the surgeries come into play, all of those little details I appreciate just kind of go away and everybody starts to look the same and it's not as attractive, So I don't judge, or I don't ever try to sway a woman into doing one way or another, but I like it natural if it can be natural. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, so you say you like it natural, so I'm going to ask you bros directly. We're going to start with you, Darnell. Okay, so this is huge. BBLs are through the roof in terms of interest, things like that, and women are clearly doing whatever they need to do to get a BBL. And we mentioned the trans community earlier, but really right now we're talking about women who are women, born women, and they're getting the injections or they're doing the BBL procedure, right? So what role do you feel as we as men play in their obsession to change their bodies? Start with you, Darnell.
I think as men, we put a value on physical beauty. When there are a lot of other aspects of a woman that make them valuable, but we're visual, we like physical aesthetics, and we tend to focus on these things when we find somebody to partner and all this stuff. And if that's all we place our value on, and in turn women take that and place their own value on themselves based on what we say we want, it kind of distorts like what really makes a woman or a person valuable as a whole, rather than just physical beauty and aesthetic appearance.
Yeah. Raz, same question, bro. How accountable are we as men in this whole fascination where women will literally risk their lives? Because there's a lot of information out right now what that is, and some don't care. They trying to get that look, whatever else. How much more do you think that we are responsible for that?
Well, I mean, probably a lot, because they wouldn't do it if we didn't like it. And so we do have a part to play, not directly, but indirectly. And I think that as men, we definitely have to not make women feel bad, because they're like Darnell was saying, that women add so much value in their physical bodies, And so we need to definitely start to communicate that more effectively.
Yeah, yeah. Daniel, you're the silver fox of the group, bro. You're the seasoned vet among us. What are your thoughts on this? Like, what role are we playing in
A lot.
exacerbating all this,
I
bro?
think we have a lot unintentionally. I think we have a big, because our desires are maybe what they're trying to present. You know, if a big, it's like the Fridays movie. Damn, you know, we all see that big thing, you know, and we react. So if a woman sees that someone with that is getting that type of reaction, well, let me see what I can do to get in that category. So I think we have a lot to do with that. But Carrie, let me back up a little bit. I spoke with a woman a few years back and she was talking about getting some breast surgery done. And I was trying to talk her out of it. I said, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. You don't need that. It's fine. You're good. You're good. But then she said something that I had to step back as a man because I was like, oh, okay. I can get with that. She said, but it's a fashion thing. She said, my clothes are gonna fit me differently. She said they're gonna look differently on me. And I agree. I said, you know, you're right. That I said, as a man, we don't consider some of the things we always just see as just physical beauty, but mentally and fashion is a very big thing. I'm you know, with women, and I can see how let me say like this, her clothes did fit her differently and better after she got the breast surgery.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to give a disclaimer really quickly. The show is scheduled to go an hour, and we're like 3 minutes away. I'll let you go 10 more minutes. And maybe I know that still have a hard stop at 5 o'clock your time. Can you stay on us for like 10 more minutes, or what do you think? You good?
Yes.
Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, Dr. Carl Michelle, I want to come to you. You hear what these bros are saying. One of the things I sort of recognize is that we're not just talking about women who may be in their, you know, getting to their 30s, may feel as though they starting to sag a little bit, so they want to get a little lift and so forth. We got teenagers. Parents are paying for these things. So this is something that is really huge. You hear the bros of what they're saying. What would be your advice to us? What would be your consultation to us as men? What could we do to sort of divert whatever things, energy, intentional or non-intentional, that we may be sending a signal to women that, you know, if you get a big ass, yeah, they're not hollering at you. What can we do? What would you say to us? You heard what all these men said. What's your reaction?
Well, put me on the spot, but I want to back it up this way.
Okay.
I'm going to come in this way. One thing that men have experienced is they have been socialized to sexualize women. So we've got it in magazines, we have it in movies, we have it in songs. So I can say men, da, 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 but they've also, this is what has been fed to men and women of a woman's body and what it should look like or what it shouldn't look like. You've got your, I don't even know the magazine anymore. They still do Hustler and all that stuff that, you know, the centerfolds. I mean, that's what they were showing. Well, they weren't always Black women though, but what was that, Carrie?
It's hustler.com.
Yeah, well, I don't mind if I age myself, but you know, that was the visual. You know, you're sneaking a magazine and you're looking and you're thinking this is it. This is the thing. This is what's been shown. So can I tell men to maybe, I think they're saying some great things. These men seem very balanced in what they're saying. But we also have to remember who is influencing us to think the way we think about the bodies that we see. And we're so easily influenced. And if we don't stand for ourselves, what we want, I think someone said they take it, I'm looking at the chat, flat or, you know, natural. And it really takes that to take, and I think more men will take a woman as she is than not. And I don't want to say men are just, you know, all this, we're just our bodies, but more men that I've talked to will take a woman in their natural state than not. I think it's a lot of competition that we women have with each other. They say sometimes we dress not for the man, but for the women, you know, so we could come in and not the women to attract them, not, some may, but not all. But competition is the root, it steals joy. Competition will steal the joy of life from you. And if we see that we're trying to compete a certain way with our body parts, and I know I moved away from the men, but I don't really know if they really care as much as, are they trying to keep up with the Joneses? Are they trying to keep up with the look? Oh, my girl got this butt, you know, or my girl got this chest. And I think in the long run, I think they would want us healthy. I think they would want us to live long. I think they would want our mental health to be in a good place. I think they don't want crazy and what comes from all of the disappointment or the depression that comes from these surgeries. So I think men want us to be natural and in good health and in good mental health.
Yeah, yeah. Anivia, so I want to go to you. You hear what the gentleman just said, and you hear what Dr. Carmichael, her analysis is what I think is really spot on. So although you weren't getting the injections to lure men, okay, I'm sure it didn't hurt that either. And then at some point, you know, you were obviously with the larger posterior. And so you kind of had a lot of different, you shared one time you were on a date and the guy said, could you share that information, that one date that you went on? That was great.
Well, when I had that butt, it was after I had a flat butt. I've lived all those lives now. I would always say, at least when I had a flat butt, I knew that if a guy was hitting on me or interested in me, it was for me. But when I had that butt, I never knew. I went on a date once, and when the guy and I sat down, he looked at me and he said, "Wow, you are pretty." Like, he didn't even know what I looked like. And so I knew, like, once I got that butt out, at least I would know that wasn't why. Like, I never knew. Were they just being freaky or were they interested in me? I didn't know. Men are visual, we know that.
Did you see a huge spike in men giving you attention? I'm sure you got attention anyway, but did you see this significant, measurable, huge spike in attention after your injections?
Yes, and I don't miss it at all. At all. At all.
You also made
I don't.
Yeah. And so, yeah, let me just a lot to be learning. And thanks so much for sharing your journey. If I can go back to another one of our pre-conversations, where you talked about where you were working in the strip club, and you talked about how there was a difference, which also kind of served as a motivation for the shots, where you were in the black strip club versus the white strip clubs. Talk about that, please.
The black clubs, like, they didn't, the girls would make all the money. I didn't make it. I can't dance. I'm tall and kind of goofy, a little clumsy. And like, I would only make money like at the white clubs. And I mostly bartended, but I did dance. Some would call myself dancing. And I would just walk up and down on the stage, and when I would walk over to the black guys, they would spin the chairs around and they wouldn't tip me, and they would make fun of me. It was bad. I could laugh about it now, but I only made money at the white clubs. The black clubs, all the black girls and Spanish girls made money.
Gentlemen, did you hear that? So according to, I don't want to insinuate you guys to go to the strip clubs, but
wait, let me say this to make it clear. The person that just said a comment, when I worked in the strip club, it was before I got my butt done. I didn't get my butt done until I was no longer in the strip club. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, because you're saying that despite your natural physical beauty, you were literally ignored in the black strip clubs. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow. Gentlemen, you guys want to react to that? You have any thoughts on that?
Well, you know who you need here for that question. And unfortunately, he isn't here. But I can see that. Well, you know, the strip club is a fantasy. And you're going in there for a fantasy, and that fantasy is of a woman who has everything that you fantasize about a woman. You know, the small waist, big breasts, pretty face, tat-ow, you know. And, you know, the more of those features that a woman has, the more popular she is in that environment.
Raz, you got thoughts on that?
Well, you know, exactly what he just said, you know. I think that, it does play into that fantasy. And, you know, we like, we like the curvaceous woman. That's the in thing in the Black community, especially. And so anything that defies that is usually rejected or shunned. So I get it.
Darnell.
I agree with the other fellas. I don't frequent strip clubs. It's not my scene, but I wouldn't like go to a strip club and want to see a bunch of natural, just, regular women. I want to see that, like, that sexual fantasy, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, like, you wouldn't really find me in them spaces.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I want to say
Also,
this
we
though.
don't want to take her home with us, so it's just a fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raz, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I want to say this though. I've met a lot of different women of different builds, and women. I like a curvaceous woman. Don't get me wrong, but I've also met a woman who's been very slim, but was just as sexy because of the way she carried herself. So I mean, it really, it's not down to your body parts. It's the whole package, your charisma, the way you move, the way, you know what I mean. It's like, it's everything. So I just, I think that's important to know.
Yeah, but I want to say this too, right? Because we keep the buck on here, right? And we're ready to wrap up because our time is running short. So we will pontificate, well, we like curves, women, but we want someone, and we're kind of open, we want something natural. They say that 70% of all communication is nonverbal, meaning that what you're really saying is what you do. It is very clear to me that we react in a very different way from what I'm hearing from women. We react very different when the butt is bigger versus not. Women in the audience, all you guys, is that true or not?
Yeah, but it's the physical features that we desire, but it's the same thing with a man who walks into the room with a big chest and big arms. He's gonna get the attention. Women are gonna react a lot differently to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he walks in the room, or when Shaq walks in the room. When my little skinny ass walk in the room, I disappear. And the difference is, where a lot of us, maybe guys, we're not as maybe quick to fix that surgically, but we're all in this together.
Women react to men with money more than they do physical things about it. I think that'll be the topic: men with money versus men without money.
Yeah,
true.
So just wear your black card around your neck, Daniel. Okay, so we're going to get ready to wrap up. I want to thank everyone for joining us on the podcast. We want to get final words. Give Dr. Carmichael an opportunity to give her final thoughts, please.
Carrie, thank you. Just hearing the conversation and, the things we go through to find love, to find contentment, to find love for ourselves, to be that person we dream of, or to have that person we dream of. It's a lot involved. I mean, life is not easy as we see it. Life is not predictable. Life is not something that we maneuver through and have all the answers. So I go back to, with all of that we've being said, and the story that Anivia has shared, and all of her authenticity and vulnerability, and the hardships that she went through, but still coming out on the other side and willing to share her story and help us understand more, and to help those, like, hey, be careful, this is what's going to happen. It still boils down to, who are we? Who are we? And how do we really want to present ourselves to the world, or just to ourselves, and to be authentic with who we are and what we have, and own it. I think someone said charisma, self-esteem, confidence, that's sexy, so grabbing hold to that and letting that have a higher percentage than the other things that we think we need to have is the best route to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. And Anivia, please give some final words.
I love Dr. Carla. I think that was amazing. And if I can leave everyone with one thing, I don't understand why people are still doing those butt shots. So many women, myself, K. Michelle, Get Bodied by Jay, so many women, I can't even think of other names that have come out and talked about, someone from Love and Hip Hop, just a number of women. I'm sorry if I forgot anybody's name, that have come out and spoken against it. Like, there are so many options. There are so many other avenues. There is other stuff wrong with you, girl. other than worrying about that butt, you got to get that mind right. But please don't do those butt shots. Like, that's just a suicide. It's just so dangerous. I can't express it enough. I don't have functioning kidneys right now because I wanted a butt, and now my butt looks like a runaway slave. So I'm back at square one for nothing. So it's really not worth it. I'm telling you, because it's gonna go wrong eventually, and then your butt's gonna look worse. So you better rethink about it.
Yeah, well, again, we want to thank you for your feedback, your incredible transparency. Thank you for being authentic with us. It's been absolutely fantastic. Dr. Carmichelle's always been fantastic. And we'll leave you with these final words. This has been quite an interesting conversation here. But one of the things I want to say, not necessarily to us as adults, one thing I want to say to whether you have children, grandchildren, or future parents, one of the best gifts, Tyrese was on social media the other day showing his 16th birthday party for his daughter. Quite elaborate. It was incredible. He easily must have dropped $1 million on it. It was an incredible birthday party for his daughter. I would argue one of the best presents we can give our daughters and our sons as well is a nicely gift wrapped package of self-worth. Letting them know that they are okay just as they are, that they are loved, that God uniquely created them for their time on earth. And there's no one else like them. And I think, Anivia, you talked about that in some of your past conversations. It is all about who we are. There's an old saying that goes, if there's no enemy within, the enemy on the outside can do us no harm. I want to thank everyone for joining us on Urban Birds and Bees. We hope that you enjoyed and were encouraged by this. Again, all content here was for educational purposes and to help you become a better you. Until next time, thank you all for joining us. Have a good day.